Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful Rabbit Hole, Lauren Frey, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. Steam sales have come out for Hi-Fi Rush, and it peaked at about like 6,000 players at once, and now it's like it looks like there are like a couple of thousand people playing the game. Okay. Like the game was a failure. Like in spite of that initial wave of enthusiasm and the hype and like the praise surrounding this game, we can look at like the sales numbers. We can look at how it charted on the Xbox Game Store. We can look at how it charted on Steam. And the actual numbers reflect very poorly on the game itself. Like it does not seem like it was that big of a success. And this is really interesting to me because it really does feel like Hi-Fi Rush, the people who are praising this game, were paid to praise it. Like I've long said, like I've long speculated that like Angry Joe's coverage of games depends entirely on whether or not he gets sponsorships for them. And I think in Hi-Fi Rush's case, this is a game that like he would never have played otherwise, that he wouldn't have cared about. It's not like a Dungeon and Dragons like live action board game or a generic Call of Duty clone or a Total War game, and it doesn't have Superman in it, so he's not interested. But he still had his like people cover the game regardless, and got like what like less than 100,000 views on that video. Like the the attention this game has gotten seems like very very disproportionate. Like it feels like the publisher like paid a number of high profile streamers to cover the game positively, and that kind of trickled down into their audience. And people thought it was like, a thing that was popular in their circles or whatever. Like, wow, this thing is a lot of fun. But in reality, it was like shilled. It was promoted. It was like it was all fake. Like I don't think enough people realize that like games like this do pay for promotions from YouTubers and other shills, right? And I think that like now that that money is running out, now that people are no longer talking about this game, you're going to see like a very sudden drop off of interest in it. In fact, I think we've already seen that happen. And this has happened a couple of times over the past couple of years. I think Nick Allstars did this. I think Multiversus definitely did this. I think there were a handful of other products, but like it's interesting to see a product that's like clearly aping off like the Nintendo thing of like making a westernized cartoony game and trying to make something interesting and fun about it. It's interesting to see these people who like constantly rail on Nintendo for like really petty, inconsequential reasons, like try and like promote something like Hi-Fi Rush, which really can't compete with anything Nintendo has produced in the past 10 years. Like I've made comparisons to, Kid Icarus Uprising, to Kid Icarus Steam, to the Wonderful 101. Like Hi-Fi Rush can't really compete with any of that, honestly. And I think like in another year, the game is going to be completely forgotten. Like just like It Takes Two or any of these other like out of nowhere heavily promoted games that like the establishment tried to push in order to like combat the narrative that the reality that the perception among fans that games were starting to get less creative, because they are getting less creative. They are becoming less fun. They're a lot less engaging. There's no reason to play the vast majority of games that come out. But developers are trying to convince you that things like Hi-Fi Rush do get made, and like they're trying to like create this like fantasy world where stuff like Hi-Fi Rush is like really well received among its demographic, when that's not really true, honestly. I don't think Hi-Fi Rush is popular at all. I don't think it has much of a player base. I don't think it's really going to be talked about. I would be shocked if it made its way into any top 10 game of the year list. And if it does, it'll be on the lower end, right? Like this is a game that's going to be forgotten by by the end of the year. And I'm very curious to see just how many people stick by it and try to promote it as one of the best things ever made.